Around the holidays, everyone is drinking bubbles. It is time to celebrate, but sometimes you're looking for a bottle that is more affordable. Maybe not a $70 bottle of champagne. Maybe you're looking for something that you can mix into orange juice for mimosas on Christmas morning, or you need to buy a lot of bottles for a large Christmas party. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking to you all about some affordable alternatives to champagne that you can enjoy this holiday season. Hi friends, my name is Sarah and I'm a certified sommelier and host of the Wine CEO podcast show. And each week on this channel, I talk about different wine topics, interviewing winemakers and industry professionals to help wine become more fun and approachable and not intimidating, regardless of whether you are a beginner in your wine journey or very experienced. Hopefully the tips and tricks I bring each week on this channel are helpful as you learn to love wine more. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do so now so that you don't miss any of the exciting upcoming wine content. So in last week's episode, I talked about champagne, how to shop for champagne around the holiday season, and some tips and tricks to make sure you are serving and enjoying your champagne in its optimal way. And a lot of people ask me, why is champagne so expensive? And I promise it is not just marketing or big business in the wine industry. It really is a unique product. It's very custom, and it is one of the regions of the world where the grapes must be hand harvested. So there's a lot of labor dollars involved. You also have a lot of regulations around the production and the storage of champagne. And so winemakers have to spend a lot of money up front to be able to create this incredible product. Then when you add in taxes and shipping costs and things like that, there really is a reason why champagne is so expensive. And it's amazing. The quality is unmatched. But sometimes around the holidays, you might be looking to buy a lot of bottles for a party, or maybe you want some bubbles to make a champagne cocktail or to mix with orange juice on Christmas Day for a mimosa, and maybe you don't want to pull out a $70 bottle of champagne for that, right? So today we're going to talk through some great affordable alternatives, and it's important to remember that it won't be identical to champagne because, again, this is a really custom product. It's unique to the region of Champagne, France, but I'm going to recommend a few options that will hopefully get you a little close for a little more bang for your buck. So first up is Cremants. So Cremants is a sparkling wine that's made across France, and it's the name given for sparkling wines that are made in the traditional champagne method, so the method champenois, but the sparkling wine does not come from Champagne. So remember that one of the rules for a sparkling wine to be called champagne is that it must come from the region of Champagne, France. So all of these other sparkling wine producers across France can call their sparkling wine made in the traditional method Cremant. And often you will see it as Cremant d'Alsace, Cremant de Bourgogne. So this is Cremant of Alsace, Cremant of Burgundy. And so the region where the Cremant is made is often a part of the name on the bottle. So these Cremants are made again in the same method as traditional champagne is made. So you're getting really high quality and a lot of care and effort being made in the wine, but you can find them for a fraction of the price. So usually Cremants, you can buy them for anywhere from like 20 to 30, $35, and they're going to be really high quality, well-made sparkling wines from France, but they're just not from the Champagne region. Now, one thing I like to mention is that it's not going to be identical because, again, some of the regions across France, because they aren't following the exact regulations of the Champagne region, they might blend in a different grape variety. They may not necessarily hand harvest their grapes. They may not age their wine for as long as champagne is required. So there are going to be some slight nuances, but again, I think across the board with Cremant, you're going to find a really high quality sparkling wine that is a much more affordable price point than from Champagne. So the second one I want to talk about today is California sparkling wines. So California has been making sparkling wines for decades, and there are some phenomenal producers that are making great quality sparkling wines, and some that actually are not that much more affordable than Champagne. You can find some outstanding California sparkling wines for $100, $200 a bottle, and they really are exceptional, but you can also find some really amazing California sparkling wines for $30 or $40 a bottle. I interviewed the winemaker from J Vineyards last year, and she's making some phenomenal sparkling wines in the region. But there are also some French champagne houses that actually have locations in California as well. Two great examples are Moet as well as Mum. So there's going to be some amazing sparkling wine coming out of these houses made in the traditional champagne method, but from grapes in California. So those are going to be a little more affordable because obviously they're coming from California, so not coming as far are, not the same import taxes. Also, because the production isn't quite as highly regulated, they don't have to be quite as strict as in champagne. So again, going to be a little more approachable from a price standpoint, but quality is still going to be well up there with a lot of amazing champagnes as well. So those are usually my two main recommendations when folks are asking for a sparkling wine alternative to champagne that's going to be a little more affordable. Now, I have people often ask me, well, wait a second, like what about Prosecco and Cava? What about Franciacorta? And yes, there are a lot of really great sparkling wines being made all around the globe. And I think it's important when you are looking for a kind of more affordable substitute for champagne to think about where is this wine being produced, what grapes are being used, and what's the method being used. Because there are a lot of great sparkling wines, but honestly, they're unique to their region. So if we look at Prosecco, for example, Prosecco is produced in the Charmat method. This is a tank production method that is very different from the traditional method used to make champagne. And there's not necessarily one that's better than the other, but they create very different mouthfeels, very different perception on the palate. And so it really is more of a personal preference on which style you like. Additionally, Prosecco is made with completely different grape varieties that are coming from the terroir throughout the Prosecco region. And so when you are trying to compare the two, it's almost impossible because the wines taste completely different. And so I wouldn't personally recommend Prosecco as an alternative to champagne because I just think that the wines are so unique. They taste so different. Now, Prosecco can be a really affordable option, but you can also find some really expensive, amazing quality, really special produced Proseccos that are low production, that are hand-picked grapes. So you can definitely find a breadth of scale of Prosecco when it comes to more affordable options that maybe are mass-produced, or some that are really more small grower producer kind of Proseccos. So it's important to do a little bit of research if you're wanting to maybe serve that as a sparkling option instead of champagne, because you could find a producer that is going to be somewhat similar in style, but it's not going to be identical. So let's take a look at Prosecco for a second. So Prosecco comes from northern Italy. It's made from Glera grapes, and it's made using the Charmat tank method, so very different from the traditional champagne method. So honestly, it's really hard to even compare Prosecco with champagne because they're two totally separate wines. They're made in different ways with different grapes, and so I find that it's hard to even compare the two. They're very different, and I wouldn't say that one is better than the other. It's just personal preference on which flavor profile you enjoy, which method of production you enjoy. They're going to have different mouth feels, so it's going to have a different perception on your palate. So it really is just totally unique and different. So you might love Prosecco, and that's going to be a great sparkling wine for you around the holidays, but I wouldn't personally recommend it as an alternative to champagne because it's going to taste completely different, and I don't know if they're even close enough that you can really compare. You could look at Cava, and I think that Cava, similar to Prosecco, you have kind of a spectrum of maybe some really affordable mass-produced versions that are not always going to be the highest quality, but are going to be very affordable and approachable. But then you are also going to have these smaller producers that are putting a lot of time and effort into harvesting their grapes by hand and in the production method. Cava is made in the traditional champagne method, so it's going to be a little closer in style to champagne. But again, they're using completely different grape blends that are indigenous, unique Spanish grapes. So if you're looking for Cava, you could definitely go for Corpinat. That's going to be that kind of more custom, the smaller producers that are really putting effort into the production style and making sure that the hand harvesting methods and the efforts to make the wine are going to be excellent compared to some of those larger Cava producers that are mass producing. So there's, again, that spectrum, and it's going to get a little closer to the style of champagne, but still very different wines and very difficult to really compare side by side because they're so different. The terroir is going to give the grapes different flavors. And so even though they're made in a similar style, they're going to taste completely different. So I definitely love them. I think that Cava and Prosecco both make really great options when you are looking for something to make into a cocktail and you need a sparkling wine, or you want to mix orange juice to make a mimosa. I think Cava is perfect for that. Prosecco similarly can be awesome as a affordable bulk option, maybe if you're looking for a lot of sparkling wines to enjoy in the holiday season. But I think if you're looking for options that are going to get as close to the champagne style as far as the flavor profile as well as the production, my recommendations are going to be Cremants, which is also from France, and then also the sparkling wines from California. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of some things to shop for if you're looking for more affordable alternatives to champagne this holiday season. And no matter what you are drinking, I hope you pull out some bubbles and get to celebrate over the coming weeks. There's a lot of great memories to be made over the Christmas season. So I hope that you are taking a few moments to slow down and enjoy this wonderful season with friends, family, and loved ones. So if you have not subscribed to the Wine CEO podcast yet, please do so now. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you have a question about this episode or wine in general, don't hesitate to send me an email, sarah@thewineceo.com, or you can send me a DM on Instagram @thewineceo. Until next week, friends, I hope you drink something new and delicious, and I will catch you all in the next episode of the Wine CEO podcast.